Hey guys, welcome to Rogue Vault, and today I'm going to start a new series of how to, and this series will not be based on Kali Linux just like how it used to be before. This series is a brand new series on Parrot security distribution or distro. So this is a completely different module altogether, like how I am doing Kali Linux how to and other videos. The same way I'll start a new fresh playlist for you guys on Parrot security distro. Just to give you guys an intro about Parrot security distro, Parrot security distro was initially born just like how Kali Linux was, but then it was not that robust like Kali Linux it used to be. So but then in an evolution of a new distro, this is just for security purpose again. So just like how we have Kali Linux, the same way we have for the Parrot security distro also, which is completely for ethical hacking and penetration testing purposes. And though Kali Linux is the well-known source till date, but then it's definite that Parrot is also giving a tough challenge to Kali Linux, and it comes with both pros and cons, just like Kali Linux. But then there are certain things which are very interesting with Parrot security, which actually makes you choose to go with Parrot than Kali. So they have this parrotsec.org. This is their official website, and you can actually see a decent website of it's like a marketing website. So they just ultimately marketed their Parrot security operating system. So it's like if you can see like the goals, the downloads, everything, and the best part for now in Parrot security operating system, and which was lagging in the previous some of the editions or versions, were documentation. So just like how you have Kali Linux repos and nice documentation, Parrot didn't initially have documentation, but then in the state of evolution they have documentation also of their operating system. So it's very neatly documented. You will get end-to-end help from the Parrot distro. And also it's a Debian based, just like how Kali, it's also a Debian based operating system. And if you want, you can just go down to the Parrot security download section. In the download section you will get 3 different versions to see here, like which is home. So what we see here is home version, and there are other versions also like security version, which will be our key focus, because we'll be going with Parrot security version. So there is a confusion in this particular security website. That's because there are 2 websites which you can identically see on Parrot security. So you can see Parrot linux.org and parrotsec.org. There are 2 websites. So I'll just select Parrot security also to show you guys. It's pretty much identical. I don't see much of difference other than the name over here, the domain name. Otherwise both are same. So this is just not to confuse you guys. You can go with anyone, but Parrot linux.org and parrotsec.org both are the official website, but parrotsec was the official website for quite a long time. So what we have to download here is on the security distro, you have to download the preferred version of security distro you want to, Parrot made and Parrot security KDE ISO. So whenever you go for a download of Parrot operating systems, it's always advisable to download it via torrent, rather not go with the download of direct, because in case you don't have a download manager and you will lose the download if there's a network reset. So you can go for direct download, select a servers, or get torrent. I will always prefer get torrent. And then it's just that whichever version you think you have you want to venture. So it's a KDE version or the mate version. You can download any one and venture it, not the OVA for now. For this is for virtual. So if suppose you have a virtual desktop or so on, we can go with that. So in the download section, the same way mate, they have a separate section, KDE, they have a separate section. And the security, we'll go with Parrot security, whichever you feel like to go with. I will go with the torrent version of this one, that is the mate version. So as you can see, the torrents download, I just have to download this via my P2P software or torrent software. So once you downloaded the image, then you need a VirtualBox. So this tutorial will be based on Oracle VirtualBox. So I generally do tutorials and videos on Kali Linux, but I thought I'll do this time on Oracle VirtualBox. So that's exactly why I have downloaded it and configured it. So now let me quickly run through creating a new machine so that we can install Parrot. So I'll go to new. So we'll give a name for the operating system, Parrot sec distro, the security distro, and type is you need to select Linux, and it's a Debian 64-bit operating system I'm installing, so it's Debian. And then the memory size, it's however you guys want it. So depending on how much memory you have on your laptops or desktops, based on that you can assign memory. So I gave around 2 GB plus memory. I'll give some 3 GB, 2.7 GB, and then it is asking you for the virtual hard drive. So you need to create a virtual hard drive now. You can't skip this particular portion. So, or if you have, you can go with existing, but it's always recommended to use create a virtual disk now. So I'll create it. Then it is asking for 3 different formats of virtual machine. So you would have been familiar with this VMTK file, virtual machine disk file, or you can go for VDI, VirtualBox disk image. So whichever you feasible. So I will go with VDI because it's a VirtualBox. So I'm selecting from my side as VDI and click on next. Then you want to fixed assigned your storage space, or you want to dynamically assign. If you're a beginner and if you're new to this particular operating system and you are just venturing this on a smaller scale, then I would suggest you guys to go with dynamic allocated, because until unless you are that pro to do it everything manually, I prefer you guys to choose dynamically allocated. And then comes the file size. See, that's very much important. So you can't just run an operating system with 8 GB of memory. I mean it's the disk space. So you minimum give 20 GB disk space. So I'm giving 20 GB as a disk space, so I can't run with 8 GB of disk space. So I'm giving more disk space so that the operating system has more breathing space. So then I'm going to click on create. So the disk and the operating system, I mean the VM VirtualBox has been created. You can see the complete history of this. So what I'm going to do now is, once this is VirtualBox is configured, now I'll go to start the VirtualBox. So click on the start VirtualBox, and when you start the VirtualBox, it is going to definitely ask you from where you want to load the operating system. If you have an optical device, optical disk drive like CD, DVD, Blu-ray, that is a different case scenario where you can select this Blu-ray or CD, DVD. in case if you don't have an optical drive, then you need to add one optical drive, that is the image from where you want to add. So you can actually see this add, there's an already an attached drive, so I do have an optical drive on my machine. So I'm going to add a new disk image. So click on this and then select Parrot Security, which I have downloaded already. So click on open. So this is a Parrot Security image, 3.95 GB, and I'm going to choose this. Don't select this, select the image file, choose it, and then start the virtual machine. So the first thing which you would see here is it's asking you for which mode of installation. In case you have no plans to install the operating system and you just want to try it out, you can go for some live mode where you don't need complete installation. It will just run like how you run it from a USB drive. But in my case, I want to install it so that I can use it for future purposes as well. So I'm going to go for complete installation, and this tutorial is intended to install the Parrot operating system on a VirtualBox. So that is the core idea of this tutorial, and which I'm going to execute it with install, and I'm going to go with the standard installation procedure. So you can choose your type of installation. I'll choose the standard installer, and once you click on the standard installer, then there is a loading sequence. So the installation starts. This reminds me of Windows CUI based installation, where you will have a similar one with Windows XP and Windows Vista initial stages, where you will have this CUI based. The same way the Parrot Security comes on with a CUI based. So let's quickly select the language. I will prefer to go with English. Then you can choose your territory, geography, country, the location where you are operating from. Then again, the configuration for the keyboard, I'll keep it American English. Right, so there you can see now that the installation process has started. So it will be quick comparing to the amount of physical memory you have and the disk space, so and the performance of your central processing units. So in case you have a healthy configuration, it will be more useful. But then to install a Parrot OS, you definitely need VirtualBox, or you can go for a dual boot as well. So on the first phase of installation, it is asking you for the root password. You need to clearly understand that you need to remember this root password. It is just like Windows, how you have Windows administrator account and your own account when you are installing the operating system. By the way, in Windows now the trend is that administrator account is not activated. You directly start with the user account, whatever account you are creating. So that works like an administrator account. But here in Parrot distro, you need to understand that the root always remains, and you will also create another account on which you will work. So in case you want to reset the password of that account as well, you need this root password. So this is very important. So set a password and you have to confirm the same. So I've confirmed. So now this is what I was talking about. So you're going to set up a user level passwords. So here, so you have to type the full name. So I'm going to keep a username, Rogue Vault. This is the username, and username for your account. So how do you want it to be displayed, Rogue Vault or Rogue Vault Learning, and however. So I'm going to keep this unchanged. I'll keep Rogue Vault. And now you have to set a new password for the Rogue Vault. So just like that, before you set a root password, now you're setting a user password. So I set a password. So verification done. Then select your time zone, whichever time zone you guys belong in. So you need to select the appropriate time zone. Okay, so it's starting up. The next is partitioning of your hard drive. So if you are a beginner again and you are venturing this for the first time, I would recommend you guys to go with the default options. So here we have few options, manual, and these are the pro level way. So I would prefer you guys to go with guided partitioning, using the entire disk as one partition instead of using multiple partition. This will, first thing is, will give more space to the operating system, as well as you will also have a guided way by which your partitioning and everything is done with the help of operating system and a default index. So I would suggest go with guided, use entire disk as one. Then this is the entire disk, so you're going to use that complete 20 GB of your partition space as one. Enter. Then again, it is recommended that this is for partition disk, all files in one partition, recommended for a new user. This will actually avoid complications when you are trying to multiple partition the same. So I would prefer, and the Parrot operating system also prefers, that all the files in one is kept in one partition, and we'll select that as an option. And finally, once this everything is done, you'll get a complete re-review of partitioning, and there's some primary, logical, and so on. So automatically it's taken. So if you want to do anything, undo everything, then you can go for undo partitioning, or then you don't have any other option other than finish the partition and write these changes to the disk. So you can hit the finish partition and write changes to disk, and it will ask you, do you really want to do that? Do you want to return to the partition menu? So I would say no, because it says, like, if you do not go back, you can't have a swap partition. That is completely okay. We can do this later part, or the operating system will decide by itself. So I'm not going to go back and do a review of all the partition. I'm going to click on no. Now the partition disk, so it's a final ask from the operating system that is all well and you want to write the changes to the disk and you're ready. I would rather suggest you guys to say yes and write everything to the partition. So now that the partitioning is done, the basic questions are answered, the root account password set and the user account is set, the installation of the operating system starts. Depending on your hardware capabilities and strength, the operating system, so I would say the computer's hardware strength, based on that the installation works faster or slower. That depends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go and pause this particular part because it's just loading of operating system. As you can see, it's pretty much a little slow because I have not allocated much power to this VirtualBox. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to start this back when there is any interruption by the operating system installation procedure or in the end of the completion. So let me just do this. In the meantime, you guys can definitely go ahead and review about you can get the reviews done about, or you can learn more about or read about the Parrot operating system. So while this installation is running, I would definitely want to go back to the internet where we search for Parrot security distro, and there are a few questions from Google itself about the Parrot security distro, which is answered by scrolling on to different pages. So for an example, what is Parrot based on? It's obvious that it's based on Debian, as initially I said. It's also the same flavor of Kali operating system. So they belong to the same category, same family, and their purpose is again the same. It's for security distribution and penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, and so on. So, and what's better than Kali Linux? So there is some questions and answers which you'll find. What's better than Kali Linux? Is it Parrot, or is it any other operating system, the Matrix, or so? What is the use of Parrot operating system? As I said, it's a security distro, so it's Debian based, and it's obvious that it's used for computer forensics and penetration testing and hacking, reverse engineering. There is a peculiar thing in Parrot operating system which I have personally witnessed is a lot of support for computer forensics is added, and reverse engineering is added to the Parrot security. It means it is making it as a complete package for anyone in the security line of business, where you don't have to choose a different flavor of operating system according to your work. Rather, you will have one operating system which will serve all the purpose. So if you want to do forensic, you want to do malware analysis, you want to do hacking, you want to do cryptography, you want to do anonymity, you don't want to do penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, you have everything in-house. But then the same when it comes to Kali Linux. Kali has very less options by default installed, which will help you in computer forensics or reverse engineering. So this is quite a big pro in Parrot security operating system distro. And so there are a lot of questions like this. You guys can go ahead and read more on the internet about the operating system. So the setup is almost getting completed. So now there's a small pop in the screen which states that this is about the grub. So as you know, like, we can install multiple operating system parallelly. So dual boot is what we call. So on this virtual machine, this operating system has sense that there is no other version or editions of operating systems. So do you want to install grub bootloader to the master boot record? So it means that this is going to be the sole operating system on this particular drive or the computer. So you just say yes. You can just say yes. And so do you want to see, you enter device manually? I would rather suggest select the disk which is already available. So you don't have to enter that, because the grub loader has to be loaded on the dev SDA. So select the second option, that is the virtual hard drive, the 20 GB. I suppose you guys remember when we configured. So you have to select this option, hit enter. So the grub installation is taking place. I think post grub installation there will be a boot, and that will be all. Then your operating system will be up and running. So eventually you can see now it's finishing all the settings, creating user profile, relating all the drives and hardwares, and taking stack of all the drives and applications installed. So once this installation process is done, the cleanup is done, the system will go for a reboot, and finally you'll have the Parrot security operating system loaded. So as you can see in the screen, the installation has completed. So now all you need to do is click on continue, and it starts removing all those live packages which were stored on the memory, flushing out the memory and that particular space on the hard drive which was used in the initial stage. So all the flush and removal of packages and files, installation files, will be done. So post this is done, then the operating system should eventually load up. So now you can see that the installation is almost done. There is a quick reboot and the operating system is going to pop back in, and once this particular process is done, I suppose we will be good to go with working on the Parrot operating system for the first time. And for those who are trying this for the first time, I would also like to match this up with what we did in the initial stage. As you can see, this is rogue vault. This is a user which we created when we actually were installing the operating system, and we gave a password to this. But as I said, root is also available, but then the Parrot operating system doesn't let you log in as a root. I think this is something which is now followed in Kali Linux, where the current role of Kali Linux is like will not let you to work on a root. You will have to always elevate the privilege using sudo command. But then that's exactly how this different operating systems work. So there we go. So I have the Parrot operating system loaded. That's asking for some keyboard layout. I'll go for US, English US, and that's the operating system. So if you just go to the tools which it has, like Anonymsurf, you just need to play this. Click on this and start working on Anonsurf. In Kali Linux, in my tutorials also, I would have spoke about proxy chains, but here it's all default configured. You just need to start, plug and play, and start working on it. So you have something on pen testing. These are the tools which are available for pen testing, similar like Kali Linux, but you will find quite a good number of tools here. But these are something, the programming, the office, these are something which is very uncommon with Kali Linux. So you have the office programs, then programming stuff where you can do programming using these applications, and sandboxing is something I was talking about, the malware analysis and reverse engineering. So these are the malware analysis sandbox by default available on the Parrot operating system. So there are quite a few things which this operating system has in it, and when you just finish the installation, it is going to definitely check the internet for updating itself. So it will update completely the operating system, and by default you have Mozilla Firefox as a default browser, and pretty much very easy to work interface when it comes to the Parrot operating system. So as you can see on the screen now, it's by default updating all those packages. So in Kali Linux, you have to manually do all the updates like apt-get, upgrade, update, upgrade distribution. So but then here it's just like Windows. It searches for the update, it goes and connects with Parrot-sec distro server and downloads all the latest updates and packages. So this was one video and a new start of a series on Parrot security and Parrot security 101 series, and I'll be posting a lot of how-to video, because this doesn't end here. After installation, we'll start working on different aspects and tools of Parrot security operating system. But then this video ends here because I want to just focus only on installing Parrot on the Oracle VM VirtualBox. But then I will also come back with installing the same Parrot operating system on a VMware, and also we'll start exploring the operating system together. So that will be all for now. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and you guys could even try this at your own wish and will. And if you find any problems or if you stuck somewhere, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the video's comment section. I will definitely try and answer and help you out on that, as well as please do check the description of this video, where you will have vital information on installation process, downloading of the operating system, which one to download, where to download, and VirtualBox download links, some usable resources about this particular operating system and the video. So please do check out the description, and also please keep updating yourself, because now that we are going to parallelly work on Kali Linux, as well as I'm going to upload on Parrot security. So I would suggest you guys that keep a keen watch on both the operating system, try and learn how much ever you can, and do be in touch with the comment section, so that I can answer any questions regarding these two operating system and help you out learning more. So this is Rogue Vault signing off, and keep learning. Thank you and bye bye.